Hey guys, it's the MetalBlade 5, and welcome back to another MetalBlade theory. After not having one for so long again. I apologize for this because I initially intended for this to be released in late January, but I kept ending up having to push it back or forgetting at points, and a similar thing happened with stupid hate comments, but that should be back up pretty soon as well. But regardless, this theory is a bit of a fun idea I've had ever since I Let's Played Mega Man X1, X2, and X3, being that X is Mega Man. But of course he is. He's Mega Man X. Okay, then, let me rephrase that. X is actually classic Mega Man, but upgraded. This idea came from a bit of a question I've always had with the X series, being that it takes place 100 years after the classic series, but they never explain how exactly the classic series ends. A lot of people assume that classic Mega Man dies at some point, which leads Dr. Light into building X, but then X is sealed away inside his capsule because he needs time to be determined if he's safe. And while people widely believe classic Mega Man dies, it's never been stated in any of the games, other forms of media like the cartoon, or by Capcom themselves. So I thought, what if he didn't die, but was instead upgraded and became X? Now, in regards to the classic series, there is only one link between it and the X series, being Zero. Dr. Wily had already been working on Zero prior to the point in which the classic series ends, which was reinstated by the fact that Wily alludes to this in Base's ending of Mega Man 2 The Power Fighters. I've always found this to be a bit confusing, just because Dr. Light is stated to be the one who developed the ability for robots to have free will without them being destroyed, but Dr. Wily was working on Zero beforehand when Zero is also a Reploid, but I think I might have an explanation for this. Dr. Light may have found out about Zero, and attempted to combat this threat by developing a much stronger robot to match him. In turn, Dr. Light discovered the ability for robots to think, feel, and act on their own, while keeping their core in a stable condition, which he decided to give to this new robot. And then Wily found out about this and gave Zero free will, along with a mind-controlling virus to maintain his loyalty, to rival Dr. Light's new robot. Now, where does classic Mega Man fit into this? Well, back when Mega Man was just rock, his strong sense of justice is what fueled him into having Dr. Light convert him into a combat robot to become Mega Man in the first place. So I think that a similar thing could have occurred here. After learning about Dr. Wily's new robot, made specifically to destroy him, Mega Man ordered Dr. Light to upgrade him using the new free will technology along with new metal alloys like Titanium X, as seen on X's schematics from the opening of the first game, because of his sense of justice. Thus, Mega Man became X, in which possessing free will became a potential threat as X could turn evil, meaning that he would act completely against Dr. Light's intentions and possibly alongside an evil Zero, making them unstoppable. So then the scientists of the world needed to keep X encapsulated for 30 years to determine if he would work with humanity, which of course outlives Dr. Light. With X, for all intents and purposes, basically just be the taller version of Mega Man, it would make sense for this to be the case if he was simply an upgraded version of Mega Man. Plus, it would also be much easier and less time-consuming for Dr. Light to upgrade one of his existing robots, rather than making an entirely new one from scratch, especially since, when going off of this theory, he would have most likely been pressured for time with the looming threat of Zero. This would explain why the fate of classic Mega Man is never stated in the X series. He never truly died or deactivated, but rather he still lives on in the form of X. And when Rock became Mega Man, Dr. Light always called him Mega Man from that point on within the canon continuity. So if Mega Man became X, then it would follow a similar suit, which is why Dr. Light would still refer to him as X via the Dr. Light capsules despite him previously being Mega Man. Also, in the classic series, it is indicated that Mega Man possesses some level of free will, just not to the same extent as X, and still having a programmed AI, which would also make it much simpler in transitioning to a robot with absolute free will. Now, there is one issue with this theory, being that if X was just classic Mega Man, then why does he not remember anything from the classic series? When Rock became Mega Man, he still kept all of his memories from then, so why would it be different for X? Even in the Day of Sigma short film in Mega Man Maverick Hunter X, albeit with a few changes to the plot compared to the original game, X has a flashback to when he was first activated by Dr. Light, and doesn't appear to have any sort of memory at all, since he was just activated for the first time. While I do have a possible explanation for this, Giving a robot that follows a specific set of programming the ability of free will would likely involve giving them a completely new AI, which, in regards to science fiction, is pretty much the brain of a robot. So therefore, replacing an AI would mean completely erasing their memory, explaining why X doesn't remember the events of the classic series. Additionally, this is somewhat backed up by the lore of the classic series as well when you look at Proto Man's backstory. He was Dr. Light's first attempt at creating a robot with free will. However, his core was damaged, which meant that he would die if it wasn't fixed. But fixing this meant that Proto Man would lose his free will, in which he ran away in order to keep it. If Proto Man had gone through with that and given up his free will, it's entirely possible that he could have lost his memory in the process. Therefore, what I put forward is that X not possessing any knowledge of the classic series, despite being an upgraded version of classic Mega Man when going off of this theory, is effectively what would have happened to Proto Man, just going in the opposite order. Instead of a robot with free will being given an AI, a robot with an AI is being given free will. So that's all I really have for this theory. Well, it's a bit more of a crazy idea or a different way of looking at the Mega Man X series, but I still thought it was interesting enough to talk about. But, like I always say as I semi-copy game theory, this is just a theory and not fact, and hopefully there won't ever be a massive hiatus ever again, or at least for some time.